Hi everyone. What you're looking at right now is the warm-up that I assigned you after the transformations lesson and the two answers that you should have for those questions. So what you see there written in purple, those are the correct answers. That's what I would expect you to have written on your paper after yesterday's lesson. If you don't have those two answers, I would pause the video right now, go back and rework the problems and see if you can figure out what you did wrong. Okay? But there is one thing I wanted to address that we didn't quite talk about yesterday. Yesterday I told you that it was perfectly fine to leave your answers in this form, okay? With where we've just kind of put the numbers in with X and Y, however they happen to fall, and we leave it alone. And as far as I'm concerned, these answers are perfectly fine. But I do want you to realize that a lot of the times in the mathematical world, we like the Y to be by itself. So these numbers that are over here with Y oftentimes get moved to the other side of the equation, okay? So for example, this Y plus 1 that you see right here, we may want to take that 1 and shift it to the other side. And we would do that by subtracting. And then our equation would actually look like this. Y equals the square root of X minus 2. But notice that minus 1 would be outside of the square root because it doesn't get applied to the stuff that's in there with the X. It gets tacked on to the end. Okay? Similarly with this one, to get rid of that 7, I would probably multiply by 7 on each side. And so, let me slide this up just a little bit. That would end up looking like this. Y equals, and I'm going to put the 7 in front because that's usually where you see it, negative 5x. Okay, so you'll notice that what I did there in both cases is I took whatever was with the Y and I moved it over to the other side. When that happens, that number does not get mixed in with whatever's with the X. And that's the biggest, that's the easiest way to tell what's supposed to go with the Y and what's supposed to go with the X. Is anything that's supposed to go with the X is going to be grouped right with the X, either in parentheses or in some kind of bracket. Whereas anything that's supposed to belong to the Y and has just been moved to the other side shows up outside of the brackets or whatever happens to be there. Okay? So I want you to know that because you're going to start to see questions where the equations are written this way. Not that I necessarily care if you write them this way, but I want you to understand what's going on there. So let's take a look at this next page. I've put together 4 examples, and these were not part of your original warm-up, so I want you to just look at these with me now, okay? I've put together 4 examples where the Y transformation has been moved to the other side, and I just want to make sure we recognize kind of the equivalent forms of these things. So, like in this first one, oh, let's see, I need a different color here. This minus 3 belongs to the X. We know that because it's in the parentheses with the X. This plus 2 actually belongs to the Y, okay? And if I were to move it back to the other side, the equation would look like this. Y minus 2 equals X minus 3 squared. Now you may say to yourself, why would I go to all that trouble to move it back over there when clearly somebody moved it to the other side to begin with? I do that so that if I were asked to write the rule, I could see clearly what's going on with the X and the Y. So the rule would be like X plus 3, Y plus 2. And I'm not necessarily going to do that for every single one of these, but just want you to see that that's why I would do that, is so I can see the rule. And then from the rule, I can say, all right, this is shifting to the right by 3 and up by 2. Okay? On this next one, we have a step function. Again, the plus 4 we know belongs with the X because it's grouped with the X. But the 5 belongs over here with the Y. And because it's multiplication, if I was going to move it back to the other side, it would end up looking like division. So when I think about this, it's really Y divided by 5 equals absolute value, or is that step function? I think that's step function. Step function of X plus 4. Okay? And then again, from there, I could look at this, and I could look at this, and I can say what's happening to Y, what's happening to X. Okay? So you have to be a little bit flexible in how these equations are written. Now take a look at this next one. All we have to deal with here is this negative sign. Okay? This guy here. That negative sign, it's hard to tell whether it belongs with the X or with the Y. But I know that it should be with the Y. And here's how I know that. if it were supposed to be with the x, if I meant for it to be with the x, it would look something like this. Y equals negative x to the fourth power. See the difference? In this first one, this one that I just wrote, the negative is with the x inside the parentheses. In this one, it's not in parentheses with the x. Okay? So really, when I go to write the rule for this thing, I want to think of this as though that negative were over with the y. And then I can identify that as a vertical flip. Okay? And all I did there to move that to the other side is I treated this like a -1 and I divided by -1 on each side. But divide